Hello and welcome to this episode of the Business Success Podcast with myself, Adriana Cheshire, and
Jonathan Keeble. And how many have we done so far?
this would be, I think, our 12th or 11th, depending on what way they come out. But yeah, we've hit the 10 podcast milestone.
Yeah.
That's gone quick.
Yeah, it has gone quick. Yeah.
I've enjoyed them.
And it's thanks to Shane, isn't it? And
It
his
is
team.
thanks to Shane, yes, and Corker Media.
Yeah, very good.
And today's episode, we're going to be talking about something. I mean, everything we talk about I think is fun, but this is particularly fun, about your branding and kind of the signs that you may need to think about rebranding in your company. Because we said it before and we'll say it again, your business evolves.
Yeah.
Whether it's in a week or a year, your business changes, things change, and actually your brand should always reflect where your business is at now. Today we're going to be talking about rebranding, and very apt actually, because we are currently in the middle of a rebrand ourselves.
We are. It's really exciting.
It is exciting.
But Alexandra, who works for us, she's got us on our NDA. We're not allowed to tell anybody until we've done it.
That's kind of as much as
Why
we
do you
can
think
say.
that is?
Why are we keeping it?
Stum.
Well, I think it would just be much more powerful to have everything ready to go and then launch the new brand rather than there'd just be no point in trickling it out.
The main reason is if you're rebranding, it's a serious decision to make and you really need to look into it in detail. It's not a whim.
No.
It's not just, let's rebrand.
No.
You've got to actually look at the reasons why you want to rebrand, and if, for instance, you're doing the same thing and you want to stay doing the same thing, you've got to question, why do I need to rebrand? However, if, for instance, you're going to change your business and the services in your business or add to your services, you may think about that the brand you had before is not representing the new services and so forth that you want to include. So rebranding that's number one consideration. So what do you think would be another consideration?
Well, we've had the same brand for 5 years, and we've taken the decision after, really thinking about it. We're not completely changing everything, but it was just slightly confusing. There was a lack of clarity, I think, if there's a lack of clarity in what you're doing in the marketplace, you have to really look at it from a customer's point of view. Take yourself out of your own shoes because you know what you do and look at it from a customer's point of view. Is it very clear what we do? If the answer is not really, and you can ask people and do some customer research, then that's probably when you should be thinking about a rebrand.
That is so on the point that's great what you've said, because in our case, we came up with our company brand back in 2016, didn't we?
Yeah.
And we've not changed it. But in that time, we started off with business consultancy.
Yeah.
We now have a marketing company. We have an HR company.
Yeah.
And we're relaunching the consultancy.
Yes.
Which on the side of that, we're actually doing exit strategy and so forth. So in actual fact, it's a good time to actually look and sort of say, well, where we were in 2016 was one service.
Yeah.
We're now talking about, in that time, we've added another 4 services.
Yeah, we're a hub for it all, aren't we?
Yeah, so we're like a marketing and an HR hub, right? And a little bit more.
Yeah. And the thing to remember about rebranding is all well and good having a lovely looking logo and a great tagline, but that is not where it ends. Your branding is about your company as a whole. What's your values, your mission, the culture that you want to cultivate within your company?
That's a good point.
The colours that you're using, your fonts. And all of those things have to be very consistent and the same across whatever platform you're using online, and even if it's traditional marketing, of course.
And you really need to do a bit of market research, because you need to see if your brand is actually on point or outdated.
Yes.
And if it's outdated, it's a good time to start thinking about what am I going to do to make it fresh and actually relevant.
So it could just be looking old. Yeah.
Yeah. So that sort of stuff. But it could be the tagline on it. It could be the wording on it and so forth. It's not relevant anymore.
No.
So, that's pretty good. We've thought about there could be a change in business.
Yes.
There could be a change in the sort of brand image.
Yeah. Okay. It could be confusing or inconsistent.
Yeah. And also, certainly when you look at some of the big companies, you look at like Cadbury's. Mm-hmm. Now, we love Cadbury's chocolate.
Chocolate's great.
But I think it's around about 2010. They got bought out by Kraft Foods, all right, and they're part of the what's it? Is it Malenzo Group or something?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, but the point is, they've still got their identity, Cadbury's and so forth, but they're really part of an international company.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed any changes with Cadbury's?
What, the taste?
Yep.
I think, didn't they actually own up that there was less milk in their bars?
I think it's got better.
Or was it?
I think it changed a little bit because my wife is a major Cadbury fan.
Oh, does she put it in the fridge or does she keep it
out?
out?
No, she keeps it out room temperature.
Does she?
Why?
I put mine in the fridge.
Yeah, put mine in the fridge. What do you do with your Easter egg?
Put it in the fridge.
I put it in the freezer.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I want it crackling when I bite
it's so
into
crisp
it.
And crunchy, isn't it?
Yeah, and
So
how long did it take you? Because I gave you an Easter egg for Easter.
We did,
It never saw Easter, did it?
No, it didn't make it to Easter weekend. No, it didn't. I think it lasted a day and a half, perhaps.
Yeah.
But
so you might think about going back to the brand because we could talk about food and chocolate.
Yeah. Anyway, guys. Well,
yeah, we love Cadbury's anyway. So even so, I think they did change something. Don't know what, but I think the brand image and the taste, I'm enjoying it at the moment.
Yeah.
And
but their brand is so strong that even if they completely change the look of the brand, as soon as you think Cadbury's, you'd associate particular words and feelings with that brand, which is massive.
What's so funny with Cadbury's is before I actually taste the chocolate, my senses already know what I'm going to experience.
Yeah.
And that's very, very rare.
Very powerful though, isn't
Yeah,
it? Imagine that value as a brand, having that.
Yeah. So another reason to think seriously about updating your brand.
Yep.
How about merger and acquisitions?
Ooh.
Just like Cadbury's have had, you know, back in 2010, I think it was.
And John Lewis, because then they're John Lewis and Partners as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
So you have to take on board everyone's ideas and try and figure out a way to mesh all things into one, I guess.
It's what you said earlier. When you have the merger and acquisitions and so forth, there's different directions companies may go, different markets you may be entering. It may, in actual fact,
True.
The culture might be changing, as you mentioned.
The way that your brand might be perceived in one country actually may not translate as well in another country, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
so you have to think about
about that
everything.
And so forth. Because I remember the Marathon bar, chocolate bar, became Snickers.
Yeah.
I hope I got that right.
I
haven't
got
that
to
right.
Chocolate as well.
I know. I hope I have got that right. If not, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble.
It definitely did change
from sort of marathon
to something.
And I like the Marathon bar. I like the Snickers bar. And those two things are really good if you're a cyclist or you're out swimming and you need a kick of energy. And so I'm sorry about going back on that. But yeah, merger and acquisitions is really important. And also legal or any sort of representation issues.
Sure, yeah.
Would be a good example as to why you might
do not
change
want to
a brand.
be copyrighted, absolutely.
Yeah. So in actual fact, if you're stepping on toes, or if something's happened within your company that's affected the brand image and its reputation, that would be a really good time to change brand.
Yes, like Hermes have done with Every. Hermes, the delivery service, changed to Every.
All right.
They're exactly the same company. They just had a pretty bad reputation. Right. So they changed the name, changed the logo.
And what's their service like now?
Exactly the same. They just slapped a different name on it.
Okay.
So it's not a one size fit. It's not a fix all. It's not a plaster that you can put on a company. Change the logo, change the brand. Everyone will forget about how bad we are or our reputation. It goes a lot deeper than that, and unfortunately, it can go wrong. So I don't know if you remember, but Gap, Gap, like the clothing company, they for some reason decided they wanted to change their logo. There was probably not really much strategy behind it because of the outcome, and their new logo lasted 6 days before they quickly went back to the old logo, just because of the reaction that they got. Everyone hated it. There was no real strategy or purpose behind it. So there are examples when rebranding actually isn't a good thing to do.
So they've not done their market research then?
Well, I don't, yes.
Because a rebrand, you need to ask other people what they think about it. Yeah, is it necessary?
Yeah,
but the point is, I think it is necessary if you're changing business direction.
Yeah.
All right. There may be legal or issues to your
That's a very good
reputation
point.
that you need to change and so forth. It may be outdated and it's not actually carrying the message that you want.
Yeah.
And it's not delivering on the wider and increased services that you're doing and so forth. So there are good reasons for that. But also another reason for doing it is new leadership and ownership.
Okay, yeah. So if
Because
you
the
kind of want to make a
values,
statement that
the
you're...
values of a new leader or the owner taking over that business may be different to what was previously.
So they might be taking it in a different direction, and that needs to be reflected in the...
Well, you quite often
brand.
see it, outside a pub under new management.
Yeah, and I quite like that because it's like, right, we're wiping the slate clean, new chapter, new management. That makes sense.
Yeah. So in actual fact, that's a little bit like rebranding. They might keep the name, but they want to actually say the systems have changed. Because at the end of the day, when you're branding, when you're branding and so forth, I would think you need to look at what the strengths are at the moment on your current branding. What is that? What is the situation, and what's the situation in the marketplace? How you are perceived by, your market, and is your branding delivering on its promise? Because if it's not, then that might be a reason to refresh your brand.
Yeah.
Okay, and when you do that, and you've done all your market research, and it relates to the services and products you're servicing and so forth, it's about how you're actually going to get that message out into the marketplace. And we've just been talking about online presence.
Yes, refer back to our previous podcast.
Yeah. So I suppose you could link it to the online presence podcast, couldn't you?
Yes.
All right. And then sort of do the research there, about awareness and recognition, for your online presence and so forth. That would be cool.
But getting your brand right is so valuable, so important for your business, because it's everything that your company stands for. It's the first impression that a customer gets of your company. So it has to be right. And if it needs changing and updating, then do that. Just make sure there's real reasons and strategy behind doing it. And that actually it's going to stand the test of time, the new rebrand as well.
And probably last reason really for, looking at your branding and whether you need to refresh it is, in actual fact, does it fit in with your growth and expansion plans? Will it deliver on that? So I think there's a lot of stuff really that you need to sit down, and it's great examples you've come up with, those who've actually changed the brand without actually doing all that market research beforehand and speaking to the consumer and see what their take on the brand is. So that's why rebranding
has to be done for the right reasons, because customers are very clever and they can see right through it when it's just done to kind of
it's
cover
not
up
a quick
bad
fix,
reputation.
is it? And don't do it unless you're serious that you've got the right reasons to change your branding.
Yeah, and the last one from me is the fact that it can really help you stand out from your competition. If you've not looked at your branding for say 5-6 years, well, and you've got new competition on the block and they've got a really modern, up-to-date brand, then that's kind of ammunition for you to say, right, we need to relook at our brand now, guys, and keep up with the competition and make sure that we're standing out from the crowd.
Because we're doing our rebranding ourselves. I'm really excited, but just a little bit on that. I'm still nervous.
Are you?
And so it's that little bit of nervous will make me want to do more research.
Yes.
So in actual fact, make sure that the branding is going to be what's going to deliver us for the next 10 years.
Like you said, it's a big thing to rebrand, especially when you're known for something. I think the way to do it is the way that we are doing it, which is when we're not completely changing everything. It'll still be recognizable for a number of reasons. We're just updating it rather than completely doing a 180 and changing every single thing, and it's not going to be recognizable at all.
And the good thing is, because you created our logo, all right? We're keeping the circles.
Exactly. So it's still that recognition, because we know that we're known for that, and that those colours really work for us, and those circles actually represent
I do
what
like
we do.
them, because it's the blue for trust, it's the red for action.
Yes.
And put the two together, you've got a result.
And also it can be seen like this is us, this is the client, and we meet in the middle and magic happens.
Oh, I like that one.
Success.
Okay, I like that one.
So we're not completely changing things, and that's what makes rebrands so successful a lot of the time, is that they're not completely changing it and they're a completely different company. There's still elements of that recognition, just slight things that are changing. So one good example of a famous rebrand is Starbucks. They were so confident in the brand and how well it was known that actually they just got rid of the name Starbucks, and they've just kept the actual visual of the logo. people, they don't need to see the word Starbucks to
No.
know it's Starbucks. So I love that because they're so confident, rightly so, that their brand is just so well known and established.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Actually, very
So
good.
there's good examples and bad examples.
So for just to go back to our rebranding.
Yeah.
Okay, we started off like business consultancy, and we started that branding in 2016. It's now 2023, and in that time we've included marketing, we've included HR, we've relaunched the consultancy,
Yes.
and we're also adding exit strategy to it.
Yeah, one-stop shop basically.
So I'm really excited when we can actually tell everybody about our new brand.
Definitely, it'll be clear, stand out. It's a really exciting time in business.
So maybe our next podcast we might be in time to do that.
Yes,
do you think?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm optimistic. No hurry, Alexandra. But no, I am optimistic.
No pressure.
Yeah. But I mean, your brand is much more than, I think the key takeaways, your brand's much more than just your logo and your tagline. Actually, it's much
But the brand,
deeper.
just remember, if the last thing we ever say about branding is just be careful about changing it, because it needs a lot of planning.
Yes.
A lot of research, and involve your customers in that process.
Yeah, it can be a really positive time when you're rebranding, but it should be done for the right reasons, and hopefully with the right support. So work with someone, and we're happy to have a chat who kind of know what they're talking about and can walk you through that process. Because like I said, it goes a lot deeper than just your basic visual logo, that's for sure. So whether your brand no longer reflects what you do, you've added new services, new products, whether you feel it's a bit inconsistent or confusing, whether you're merging with another company or expanding into new markets, there are many reasons to think about rebranding. But we hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I certainly have.
Thank you, Adriana. Really
I love
good.
talking about this kind of stuff.
You do.
And yes, thanks for listening, and we'll see you again in our next episode.
Thank you.